What's going on YouTube? Hey, it's Ben, and you already know this is the channel where we talk about recruiting and staffing, business ventures, entrepreneurship, investments, all sorts of things like that. And if you like those concepts, I vlog about them daily. So please become a subscriber by smashing the living daylights out of the subscribe button down below. And let's jump right into today's topic. So today I want to talk in recruiting about when and exactly how to niche down. So we always talk about starting a general recruiting agency where you kind of recruit for general labor, warehouses, production facilities, drivers, anything that's low skilled or generalized, right? But there comes a time and a place when you eventually want to niche. And a lot of people want to do that early, a lot of people want to do it later on. I personally recommend that someone starts with general labor and then niches later on once they've got the processes and the flows down, but whatever floats your boat. So here's my take on how and when to niche. So I guess the first thing is make sure that you're good. Make sure you're a good recruiter. This is the first test you'll need to pass, right? So make sure that you're actually making placements. Make sure that you're actually collecting fees. Make sure that this is a sustainable business for you. Business is consistently coming in, you're actually getting responses from all the reach out that you send, and you're feeding yourself by being a recruiter. This is paramount, right? This is like the basis and the core of everything before we even discuss whether you're going to be a niche recruiter or not, or jump into a certain sector and be a niche recruiter there. You absolutely have to be good. You have to sustain this, and the way I measure that is basically just by whether you've gotten, 3-4 clients, made 1, 2, 3 placements for at least 1, 2, or 3 of those clients, and you've done that sustainably for around 6 months is kind of my measure. If you've done that, then I think it's okay for you to decide maybe I should niche into something that I really, really like. So that's my first take on it. That's the first thing I'm going to say. The second test that you want to go through is, are you successful in different markets? So niching is basically getting into a specific market and only recruiting within that market. So we're talking about accounting, finance, it could be law, it could be, literally anything, sales management, anything in particular, right? So you choose that domain and you stick with it and you only recruit for that domain. So the idea here is you need to pass this test. Are you good at recruiting in different domains? So we all can recruit for drivers. Most people can recruit for drivers, admins, general labor people, all of that stuff. But are you okay and are you good and successful with switching markets and hiring someone in accounting, or hiring someone that's in finance, or finding a salesperson or a couple salespeople? Is that something you're good at? Have you been able to pivot and actually take on a job order like that and successfully complete it and make the placement? That's a huge second test. And honestly, like, if we're thinking about it in general, that's something that, might go hand in hand with just, are you generally good at recruiting and actually making placements? Obviously I meant that as the first test, but the second test is, can you pivot amongst different markets while you're being a recruiter? So it's a confidence thing, right? We all have to build confidence and we all have to make placements first off the bat. But once you get that confidence going, are you able to pivot and move around and say, yeah, I can staff on this sales position, or I can work on that, CPA role that they'd like there. Even though I've been doing admins for about 3 months or so, you just have to be able to say to yourself, yes, I can touch that market and I can do it successfully. And if you can, that's the second test you're going to be able to pass in order to say whether or not you can niche down or not. So beyond that, I would say that if you're doing that successfully and you're actually, making placements in different markets and things like that, you're doing good and you're probably going to be successful at picking a niche. So that's when you would decide that you're ready to niche. And if you want to put an actual time frame on it, like I mentioned before, I would say in my traditional teachings, what I've preached on this channel is that a niche should be chosen anywhere from 6 months to a year into your recruiting career. So after you've been at the grind for about 6 months to a year, that's the point where you can say, all right, I'm going to start niching into accounting, and I'm going to do accounting people, CPAs, that sort of thing, or I'm going to do legal, I'm going to do paralegals, I'm going to find attorneys, or I'm going to do this or that. 6 months into a year is a good enough time frame for if you've actually sustained yourself, made placements, pivoted markets, done it sustainably, then you can decide I'm going to go into that market. So 6 months to a year is about the time frame I would metric that out at. Overall, I would say, just given general stats, 90% of what recruiting is really natural. It comes natural to the actual person doing it, right? So I have a 5-year sales background. Everything about recruiting basically came natural to me. 10% of recruiting is just learned verbiage, terminology, jargon, skills, processes, flows, all that sort of stuff. All of those are pretty much things that you can be taught in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. It's not hard, okay? Learning how to use an ATS system can take you an afternoon, ready to go, you're done. You might have a few issues here and there, but they can be fixable, no problem. But 90% is pretty much, who you are already. So along this whole test pathway on whether you should niche down or not, you should know in the first place whether you're, truly a good recruiter or not, because 90% of it is really going to be natural anyways. So I guess that's when you should start deciding whether you're going to niche. How to start niching? That's the easy part, right? So whether or not you should niche is the hard part. The easy part is how you should actually decide to niche, because you're already there, right? So that's very easy. So basically what you do is you go down a few different items. Number 1, you find what works for you. Number 2, you find what works the best for you. And then number 3, you find what pays the most for you. Number 4, you find what's the fastest for you. So sales cycle wise, what's going to be the quickest close? What's going to make you the most money? What's the easiest placement to make? What are you really, really good at? And what's the best market for it right now? Markets change. Understand that there's certain places where tech is super in demand. You could go to North Dakota and there's zero tech, right? So, you have to understand dynamics about whether you're going to niche and how you're going to niche and where you're going to niche, because those things are going to play into it as well. So how to niche is the easiest part in the world. You just have to figure out what actually works, what's keeping you closest to the money, like I always say, and that's going to be your niche, right? So go down that list, figure out what's working for you, what's working the best, what's paying the best, what's working the fastest. Go with that niche, right? And make sure that it's sustainable for you. Keep going with it. Make sure it's working out. Make sure you don't need to fall back into general labor, or keep, some clients around that are going to pay you to feed you, so that you're not just kind of out there, selling high-end homes when you were selling low-end, or being like a, like a rental person and doing that sort of thing, right? You don't want to make that swap and not have enough cash flow to float in between. So make sure you're doing well when you do decide to do that niche. I would say that once you do, dig in. Right? Join associations, join groups, do tons of research on the niche. Like, you probably have already done a bunch of research on this niche if you have decided to join and get into it and be the recruiter of that niche. But I would recommend that you go all in at this point. So join associations, meetups, different clubs, network with other people that are in this niche, start connecting with all of the companies that are in this niche, because ultimately you want to be the go-to person for this niche, right? So let's say it's accounting, okay? And you want to hobnob with all the finance people around you, right? CPAs, assistants to the CPAs, whoever they are, people that can get you in contact with higher ups, right? CEOs of big accounting firms and stuff like that. Those are the people you want to connect with. So make sure you start developing those relationships within that niche so you can absolutely smash it once you start actually diving in and making placements and starting to make more relationships in that niche. So as far as that goes, I would say you really want to build your name in that niche once you get into it. You want to be the go-to person, and you want to build a database. So like I said in my video yesterday, you want to build a database. So when you start getting into this, everybody that you talk to, database them. Get their contact info, record it, in your ATS or however you're doing it, and make sure that you're recording every single contact you have in that niche, because those people are going to be able to help you. They're going to be able to, give you better connections. They're going to work with you, give you recommendations. You might even find a good mentor within a certain niche to help you grow in that niche, and you're only going to grow further, higher, charge higher fees, and all that sort of jazz. So that's basically a really simple synopsis on when and how to niche. I currently am not in a niche market. I support and recruit for general labor. I've got contractors. I have drivers. I have admins, clerical, whatever you name it. General low skilled labor. I'm not in a niche. In the future, I might niche down very soon. It remains to be seen. I'll see how things go. Trying to kind of pick my battles, see where I'm at, and see what's making me the most money, and I'm focusing on that right now. So the clients that I have are working for me right now, and they're making me tons of money, and I don't want to have shiny ball syndrome take over where, it takes my attention and I get stuck with, kind of thinning myself out, right? So I want to make sure that I keep my eye on the ball overall. But that's pretty much how and when to niche, guys. So if you have any questions about that, throw them down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments. I want to hear more from you about what niches you might want to join, what niches you think you'd be best at. A lot of people say sell what you know, right? So tell me what kind of things that you know about that you think you could be really good at, and tell me how you think you could recruit best in that niche. If you think there's value in this video, go ahead and smash the like button. If you're not a subscriber already, definitely subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow on Thursday, and I'll catch you later.